unsuccessful, and it takes time to work out which is which. There's also pieces which are what you meant to make and the artist you meant to be. And then there are diversions that happen because you're curious or because you need to make some money, or, I mean, there's all sorts of things that we don't talk about in the studio, but that's reality. And having a chance to put together the you meant to be is also delicious. When you make a piece of sculpture, whether it's important or not, it's good to leave room for people to bring their own story to a piece. I always think that I communicate by accident. I'm not intending to communicate. But I like the fact that people bring their own story. In the same way, I like to give clues as to what the story was in my head when I was making the piece. There's got to be an urgent need to make a piece of sculpture because it's a commitment. Sometimes I use a title, sometimes I use a particular player, but in terms of Dress for the Woods, the version that's in this show was the secondary version. I made another one when my children were little, and this is me re-examining motherhood as they are about to seriously go off and be independent in the world. And the great agony that mums carry with them is, have I done enough to protect my child for this world? My child is going out into this terrifying, dark place. Have I done enough? Have I done my job? Have I dressed my children for the woods? Are they going to get scratched up and fall over? Have I done my bit? And this sculpture where I'm the bear, I am really looking at what I've given of myself to my children, how I've dressed them emotionally. But in this piece, I've used the idea of bearskin clothes as my idea of emotionally protecting them. And really just thinking, have I done enough? Are they okay? And that's where this piece came from. The walk in the park came from, doesn't matter how well your life's going, everybody can hit a point where it all falls apart financially. I was having a really, really hard time, banging my head up against a bank and serious financial difficulty. Hadn't worked out how I was going to get out of it. It seemed overwhelming. And in my mind, the banking world became this very other world of ease and dandification. And I felt further and further away from the very industry that was there to help. And in my mind, I started developing a kind of Hogarthian picture of bankers swanking about with their fancy shoes and their buckles, and it became a self-telling story. I thought there's a bit of risk here, you know, the very people with the disposable income who are supporting me and carrying me through and keeping my studio going, and I'm being quite cheeky to them, but it was something I had to get out of my system, this absolute combination of fear and rage, and how do I manage this? What do I do? So I focused on making bankers. There are two dog sculptures in the show. One is Mad Bitch, which is a huge black poodle delicately balancing on a rather flimsy stool. And I like her for many reasons. There's a lot of me in there. Feeling slightly foolish, balancing on something that really isn't up to keeping your weight up. There are analogies there. And the other dog is Big Dog. So being a sculptor is